I'm guessing we're live?
Yes.
We are.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Sorry about the 10-minute delay. We had a couple crucial folks running late here. So without further ado, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Shauna Manton.
Here.
Yes.
Alyssa Kowalczyk.
Here.
Ray Whitworth. Paula Kane.
Here.
And Marianne Springer.
Here.
And Jack and
Jack is excused. I do not know Don's whereabouts, and Katie is on her way, also excused. Okay. Could we start with the Pledge of Allegiance? Coach Brown, if you're here, would you lead us?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Was right? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, students, staff, and sharing. I would like to welcome the high school wrestling team up. Coach Brown?
Sure, would you like me to come up?
Yeah, please.
A couple of the captains can join me?
Yeah. Great.
Absolutely.
Boys, come on up. Kyle, come on up. You can grab a seat.
And your speeches will be limited to
Kyle,
5 minutes.
Kyle, grab it.
Who's that, Zach? Thank you for having us, appreciate it.
Thank you. So tell us the news.
Yeah, it was good news. We had a great season. Wrestling team this year is the 2025 New Hampshire State Champions. A very fun season. We enjoyed ourselves. The team dynamic was good. It was up and down. We have a really tough schedule. So there were some bumps along the way. But at the state tournament, these guys competed well. They competed as a team. They competed for each other. And it was supposed to be a really tight score. And by the end of the event, these guys had knocked it out of the park. It was very clear on that day who the best team in the state was. These guys wrestled very well. They competed well. They represented our school very well. And at the end of the day, we walked out of there with a lot of state medalists, state champs, and individual state champs and team state champs. So it was a really great day. This is the wrestling program's 31st state championship, which is the most in the state of New Hampshire by a lot, which was nice. So there's been a long line of great wrestling teams dating back to the 1980s. And these guys are now the next group to have their name etched into Timberlane history and put their name up on a banner. And I think that was really important to them to kind of keep that tradition going. So, I think they were pretty proud of their accomplishment. And I know that I was very proud of their accomplishment as well. These guys really did a great job.
Fantastic. Congrats.
Anybody have anything they want to say?
Yeah, I mean, Brown just talked about like team dynamic, and I guess like that was like a big focus for us. Like we're all brothers, really, and when we look on like when we're doing sprints and we see like all the plaques on the wall, like that's what we know we're working for. Like all those guys did it, so we know what we have to do. Like we know exactly what it takes to do it. So we got the coaches to push us to get it done. So yeah,
That's fantastic. Which one of you is the youngest captain?
definitely.
What does it mean to you to be captain on the team?
It means a lot to me to be a captain of this team. Going to the middle school program, it's just something really cool to see the high school guys because you have your meets in the middle school and they mean a lot to you and you're cool, but you look at the high school guys and you're like, man, they're so cool. Like they're under this big light and they do the warm up and all this stuff. And it's so cool just coming up through the grades, really working your way up. And I think for me, just how I used to look at it and now being on the other side of it, I'm very proud to be here and very happy.
That's fantastic.
I think a couple of the other highlights too, beyond the wrestling, is being their wrestling coach. I'm very fortunate to get to work in the school and see them as students, first and foremost, as student athletes. These guys are great representatives in our building. We have outstanding students in our lineup. Their academics are really, really good. We have some of the top performing seniors, juniors, and sophomores in the school out of their entire student body. We run study halls every week. where we have students that are very good students helping tutoring other students. We spend a couple of hours every week in a classroom with teachers, making sure that we're on top of our academics. On top of that, we run a youth wrestling program for all the kids in the district that want to take part for the Timberlane kids. This year we had 45, 50 K through 5 guys, and after these guys practice from 3 to 5 o'clock, they stick around, and then from 5:30 till 7 o'clock they're there. We take turns, but 5, 6, 7, or 8 of them will stick around and coach the little kids. And beyond the wrestling, we want to make sure that we are learning life lessons, that these guys are leaving Timberlane prepared for the real world, for being members of a team, being able to problem solve, being able to overcome adversity. There's a lot that goes into the wrestling beyond the wrestling. And I know that you are a former member of the wrestling team. And these guys, those are the lessons that we're most driven with, is making sure that these guys are able to come back. We're fortunate that all year long we have alumni that just pop in from time to time just to see what's going on in the practice room. They want to check in with these guys. There's a long list of alumni who still follow the program. And when we won the state championship, this is my second year as the coach, and it's the first time that I've been a part of the state championship team as a head coach. The amount of alumni who I've never heard from before that reached out to me to talk about these guys and to congratulate these guys, it was pretty shocking. And I should have known that, but we were so tuned into just ourselves and what we were doing, I kind of lost track of the fact that there's hundreds of alumni that really care about the wrestling program, that learned a lot of life lessons in the wrestling program. And to have all of them reach out and want to congratulate these guys and talk to these guys and shake their hands, and they were at the state tournament to watch just as fans. It was pretty overwhelming, is the word that I can use, to realize how important it has been to a lot of people. So I'm glad that these guys are getting that same experience.
If the board will allow me to self-indulge for a little bit, we have spoken on the side. I graduated 89. My name is not up on any plaque. However, I still am in touch with some of the guys on my team because they were my brothers. We sweat together, we cut together. It feels special to you now. It is, and it doesn't matter it doesn't matter if your name's up on the wall, but the life lessons, and I shared with Coach, and you will understand it more than just about anybody else who's listening. The challenges and the character building that I learned on the mat and sweating and pushing beyond what I thought I could do, until 3 years ago, it was the most challenging thing I did in my entire life. And that includes some career challenges and other challenges. So you are defining yourself with the effort you put in. Obviously, it's paid off because your name is going to the wall. So, hats off, guys.
Yeah, it's pretty great. My first exposure to Timberlane wrestling was around 89. And a kid from Timberlane moved down to Massachusetts. I remember Nate Nicholson. And we're like, oh, this kid from New Hampshire. And then we saw him wrestle. We're like, oh my God. Like that, I've never seen anybody wrestle like that. But yeah, people don't like it when you guys walk into the gym. It's like it's Timberlane. Like Timberlane wrestling, that's the thing. Like you guys have planted that flag and have carried it well. I think I might be wrong on this, but for like the last 27 years, you guys have been first
It's been
21 times and second 6.
The numbers are a little staggering.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, and like Mark said, just those, for me, not as a wrestler, as in this particular way, there's a brotherhood there. For me, it's hockey, but you guys learned to support each other and to do things you don't want to do. Like there's times that you don't want to do that workout, and there's times you don't want to hit a weight, and there's times you just don't want to do another rep, and there's times some guys got you down and you want to be done, but you don't, and then you end up like reversing it and getting back up and winning because you don't quit. And that's the lesson for me, for you guys. You'll realize it someday. Like, man, I learned that in wrestling, man. I didn't quit. So good for you guys. That's you guys are on the best team in many cases in New England, and you guys just made it happen again. So that's yeah. They don't like it when you guys come in the gym. Trust me.
I have a question for you guys. So a lot of our younger athletes I would love to know how long you committed to wrestling, how many years have you done this? And 2, what do you do when you get that frustration of hitting a wall or not achieving a goal, or how do you not freak out? Because I'm working on this with my son. So
Yeah. Well, I wrestled since 6th grade, but there's plenty of guys behind me and in the lineup that started freshman year, started 8th grade. My brother quit for a year, and he was in the starting lineup this year. So I didn't really take wrestling serious until freshman, sophomore year when I realized what was at stake. Like, it was really just like kind of just a sport that I did to like keep myself busy until like I realized like, oh, I'm doing it for these guys. Like, you know, like that's really what the whole storyline is. Like, you know, your boys got to really fall in love with the sport. Like, I did literally every sport, like lacrosse, soccer, football, literally every sport. And I guess like I just in soccer, like I didn't feel like I was doing it for, you know, my teammates, and then I started wrestling, and I feel like everything I did just translated right into, you know, the people that are working around me. So I guess that's it. Like, just seeing like you just see your results right away. Like, you know, you go from not winning any matches to winning matches. So I guess that's really that's all I tell your boy. Just find the sport you love and just dedicate as much time as you want to it.
I think one of the lessons that these guys are we're constantly trying to teach is that everybody on the wrestling team is important. Everybody has value. You know, wrestling is a very definitive sport. Someone is better than somebody else always. But the lesson that we try and talk about in the room, in the practice room, is that everybody is important. Whether you're the best kid on the team or whether you're down at the bottom, you hold value. You're a good practice partner, you're pushing your teammates, you're holding each other accountable. And that's really just life. You know, you're going to encounter people, doesn't matter what it is, academics, work, whatever, people are going to be better than you, but that doesn't minimize your success. Success is defined by your own individual growth. And there are some kids that want to be state champs and New England champs, and that's their goal, and they reach it. And we have other kids that are just trying to make it through a practice. And when they make it through a practice, you know, that's success for them. And these guys pick each other up. They recognize their successes in other kids, and we recognize successes in other kids. And, you know, trying to build that self-confidence and that self-worth. It's not about the wrestling. It's about the individual improvement and growth. And when you can see it, when they start to realize like, hey, I'm getting better, you know, and better is different for every kid. But when you start to get better at anything, you feel differently about yourself. And these guys do a really good job of recognizing it within each other, supporting each other. And, you know, some of our favorite moments as coaches has nothing to do with varsity wrestling. It's when our JVs are wrestling and the varsity kids are sitting there mat side cheering them on. And if a JV kid wins a match, and it might be their first win ever, and you would have thought it was the Super Bowl. You know, they go crazy for each other because, you know, one, they care about each other and they see the successes in their teammates. And, you know, I'm sure that they would be able to tell you a lot more about it if they had more time. But I know that they really care about each other, and the lessons that we're trying to instill in them just certainly go far greater than the wrestling. The winning is a lot of fun. You know, we'll never pretend that winning isn't fun, but that's kind of the end result. When you get all the other positives in the confidence and the academics and all those other things fall into place, and then you perform really well, is just kind of the cherry on top. And these guys, you know, they had a lot of cherries this year. There were some good things that happened to us and to these guys, and they made it all happen themselves. And, you know, they should be very proud of how they carry themselves in school. And, you know, they do represent us very well. And when we travel places, you're right. You know, we walk into a gym and eyes are on Timberlane for a number of reasons. And they know that. That's a lot of pressure for kids to have. They carry 30 years of success. It's a bit of a burden because this is their one opportunity to get it done. And they shouldn't have to carry 30 years of burden on them from all these other teams that did it. But, you know, they carried that pressure very well and performed under the, you know, on the biggest stage. And it was awesome to see it all come together for them.
Sherika, 3 things.
Absolutely.
What's your name, young man, that was the youngest captain there?
Cole.
Cole, what you had said really resonates with me, and I want to point it out to the board, is that we always talk about like adults like setting the stage for kids. There are opportunities where kids can set the stage for kids, where we can demonstrate for you and give you opportunities to see what's possible. That's what I heard you say when you were looking at the high school kids wrestling, right? We need to be thinking about how we do that across the board in our district to show the little kids in our district what they can kind of get to at a certain point, because all those are connective pathways. So I think that's really a point that I wanted to hammer home. Tim, for the board, as an administrator at the high school, I think it speaks to, and you've heard me say this before, we've had about 80% of our coaching staff in our athletics program is our staff that work at our schools. And to develop those relationships that continue through the day, I think is incredibly valuable. And here's a question for you three young gentlemen up here, because I don't know the answer. I do know that athletics are not required for school districts to offer. I know that this district has committed to the value that athletics is important, and they put money behind that to fund it. If you didn't participate in wrestling through the school programming, what is available for you in the community with regard to wrestling to get that access and to get that opportunity?
Our districts, we're pretty lucky. We have an alumni, Matt Smith, who owns a club, and he's been very helpful to us. I've spent a lot of time, and most of the guys here have spent a lot of time there. He really cares a lot about this team. He's always coming by during practice and asking us how we're doing, how we feel about the team. You know, he comes to a lot of our events when he has a lot of guys that go to his club on other teams. He spends a lot of his time, coming to our events, and it's a good feeling to know that he's a very prestigious wrestler. He was a national champion, and he went to Penn State, the best college wrestling school in the country, and he still cares a lot about the high school that he went to.
Yeah. So there's that private enterprise in the community, and
Yeah.
that person is still connected here.
Yes. Yeah.
Would there be other avenues for you three and the rest of your team members to compete?
Yeah, I mean, you can compete there's club wrestling, like you can
Okay.
listen to this. It's nowhere near it's kids, even in the off season we wrestle as a team, like just Timberlane guys against club teams, which are the best kids picked from every team. But we want to build like our relationship always. So like, yeah, if Timberlane wrestling wasn't available, like, we'd go wrestle in the off season and stuff like that. But, we just love to do everything together. And even though, even during the off season, we just wrestle together. So, I mean, I guess that's yeah.
There definitely is a difference between the team wrestling and the club wrestling. I definitely prefer the school wrestling because when you have so many different guys, different schools, it's just the best guys handpicked from each school. It's there's not quite as much chemistry because you're almost in competition so much with your own teammates in a club. So when we're wrestling for Timberlane, we're really that's like our family. The club, the barn, the club it's very amazing, but it definitely doesn't quite have the same amount of chemistry as Timberlane wrestling does.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think I will peel the grape that you were alluding to. All the club kids that you wrestle against, they are all part of school programs as well, correct?
Yeah.
So the point being, the athletics that you are experiencing, the success that you've experienced, the life-altering opportunities that you've been given and you have embraced are supported by the community and the community tax dollars. That would not be available. You guys would not be wrestling if there weren't a Timberlane middle school or high school team. You probably wouldn't be wrestling club. There wouldn't be an avenue, right? Yeah.
Last thing, if you don't mind, because I definitely need to say this. You mentioned having 80% of the coaches. The success of this program does not happen without the coaching staff. In the regards that we have 6 coaches on our staff. We look at our staff as grades 6 through 12 because we're all alumni of the program. We all are Timberlane graduates. And so, we have an understanding and a philosophy that we believe in, but we're very fortunate that we have a special ed teacher on our staff. We have a teacher, actually we have one coach who's not an alumni, Sevi, but he is, we went to college together. He's a teacher at an alternative school. We have a school counselor.
Sebi, that must be a tough place to be if you're the only one that's not an alum, but
Little bit of an
great job
outsider,
to
but
you.
he fits right in.
We have a school counselor on our staff. We have a social studies teacher on our staff. We have, I'm missing one of them. We have our in-school support teacher is on our staff. So we have a wide network of adults for kids in the building, a lot of outlets for them to go to, academic support, emotional support, mental support. So, yes, it's the wrestling, but also we're so very fortunate that we have the support of our building administration, our district administration, that we, have great coaches, great teachers, all available to these guys at the same time. Because as you know, it takes a village and it takes a lot of adults to make good things happen. So, it's not like this at every school. You might have one or two coaches at another school and neither of them might work in the building. So the fact that structure has been put in place, and we're fortunate enough to have 6 coaches in our building with these guys 24/7. I mean, it gives us a very watchful eye, probably more of a watchful eye than you guys would care to admit. But, if you want good things to happen, you need people, along the way to help you. So very fortunate that we're allowed to have that coaching staff and that, they're in our building. So it's a great resource for the kids.
And I just want to say one last thing, because obviously I'm a wrestling parent and I've watched all of you guys for the last 2 years. And you know how I feel about you because I scream really loud for you when you're on the mat. So I apologize for that. But I want to thank you. You're here because you're athletes and that's wonderful. But I want to thank you for being good humans. I've watched you guys intimately take care of each other. When somebody gets down, they're not down for long. When somebody forgets snacks, somebody just opens up their cooler to share, and that gives me such hope for our community and for our future because you're all really good human beings. So thank you for what you bring to the Timberlane district, both with your athletic skills and with your humanity. So I'm really proud of all of you, and thank you for everything that you bring to the Timberlane district.
For representing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for having us.
Learned a lot about the team too, just like what you're talking about, the staff and however many coaches you have. And I'm not into wrestling, but I've this year really been able to learn and able to come to matches. So that's great representation on Timberlane's behalf. So congratulations to you guys, 31, that's an amazing number. So not just kind of hearing about a successful team, but a supportive team as well. And I love that. So congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
In reversing order so that the team doesn't have to smell the food being brought in front of them, we would like to call next the New Hampshire Middle School Cooking Competition first place winners.
Give them a minute.
Yeah.
We didn't make the player joke. I just remember that.
Whenever you are ready, sir.
Yes.
That work in the kitchen was high pressure.
There are different types of pressure. Yeah.
That was unreal. Coming in. On it. All right, we have our chefs. They have a special delivery for the school board tonight. I'm gonna give a little background while they're delivering the goods. You guys wanna take 2 each? Yeah, I'll give 2 each. Whatever they need. Go for it.
By the way, I think this may be my favorite school board meeting so far this year.
It only gets better with the taste.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Here, I'll pass them down.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Smells good.
Nice way of coming out of work.
You guys can take these seats.
All right.
Oh, I'm gonna eat.
Yep. Oh, they've got real names.
So, Mr. Mensis, we had a first place wrestling team and we have a first place cooking middle school team.
Things are going all right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
As they're finishing up building, feel free to grab a seat. I'm gonna give a little background that Ms. Children shared with me, and I know you got an update at a previous school board meeting, but just to make sure that we got all the information about what these awesome kids have been working on with their teacher leader. So last month, TRMS hosted the first ever middle school cooking competition, which I think is kind of like an Iron Chef. That's how I think about it. The TRMS team competed against Pelham Memorial School and Merrimack Valley Middle School, having 1 hour to create their barbecue themed dish. 3 judges sampled and voted for the dish with the best taste, best presentation, and most creative use of a theme ingredient, honey. Our celebrity judge was Bobby the Butcher Marcotte, who is the culinary visionist behind Tuckaway Tavern and is a 2-time champion of Guy Grocery Games. So, and I'll let them introduce themselves as well. And as you said, they did finish in first place after the process. So introduce yourself. Let's go grade and town. And then I think they have some different speaking parts that they were negotiating in the back. All right, go ahead.
Hello, we are the Timberlane cooking team. My name is Amber and I'm a 7th grader from Atkinson.
My name is Carson. I am in 8th grade and I live in Atkinson.
My name's Eva. I'm in 8th grade and I'm also from Atkinson.
My name is Ryan. I'm in 8th grade. I'm from Sandown.
Represent.
On your plate, you will find a classic chicken and waffles sandwich. Golden chicken coated in a perfectly balanced blend of flour and cornflakes, nestled in between 2 savory waffles infused with crispy bacon, Parmesan cheese, and scallion to add rich depth of flavor. On the top, you will find fresh lettuce and tomato to add color and contrast. And on the side are a signature homemade barbecue sauce made by Eva.
The barbecue sauce is a ketchup base with lots of Worcestershire sauce and London Buzz Bees honey.
Thank you for listening.
So I mentioned somebody said honey was kind of a theme here, or was that the competition prior, and this is just a new creation?
It was the signature ingredient.
Okay.
It has some parameters around what each of the school teams is gonna.
Understood.
So we're just like totally separate dishes, correct? So it's based on that.
So how much more pressure was the competition as opposed to trying to cook it really fast under the gun tonight and then deliver it, which was worse?
Tonight.
So we're supposed to dip and
You can add the barbecue sauce on top, but it's whatever you want.
okay, all right.
Probably more pressure when the principal gives them the wrong time to come to school to start cooking, because
Oh, no.
cooking for 15 is more than cooking for 4, as I just recognized.
Oh no.
But they came through in the clutch, and also Ms. Truljan, their teacher, is still back there. She said, you guys go, I'll clean up all the things.
Oh, that's nice.
Selfless as always. I mean, how's the experience been with the group, and how about working with Ms. Truljan we were talking about?
It's been really great and fun to work on the cooking team.
What's your favorite part?
The favorite part was, I don't know, what do you guys think?
My favorite part was coming after school and just hanging out with them.
Is there anything before you started this that you were like weary of to do and now you're like, I got this with cooking? Any technique or anything like that?
I had never made waffles before and now I've made them a bunch.
I gotta say, they're on point tonight.
Go ahead. Was I know you said Bobby the Butcher from Tuckery Tavern, was he able to like offer you advice while you were cooking or like judging your meals, or did he like have any input?
He did not give us any advice, but he was judging us. So.
He did like
This is very good.
The real question here is, have any of you since this made meals for your parents at home? Ooh, everybody has. Okay, see, that's an education, folks.
So were any of you, was cooking an interest of yours before this whole thing happened? It was?
Yes.
Okay. It's amazing. I think I got into cooking until I was 30. And I had to. I would
Out of necessity.
I would have starved to death. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. It's delicious, by the way.
I would love to know what's your favorite thing to cook or bake or anything.
Mine would probably be chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, that's good.
I like to make banana bread.
I like to make scrambled eggs.
I like to make grilled cheeses.
Okay, so next week we're gonna have another competition, 2 weeks from tonight.
You know, one of the marks of a Hallmark Michelin chef is that they can make scrambled eggs, because there is a precise way to make them that most people don't. Have any of you seen the show The Iron Chef? Did you see the newer version or the way back version with the voice overdubs?
I saw the newer version.
The newer version. If anybody here wants to talk the old school version of
Oh,
Iron
yes.
Chef, I am up for talking about it. I'm a
Let's do
huge
it.
fan of the show. How did you guys hear about Cooking Club at the middle school? Like, how do you know that it's there and available for you to sign up for?
We had to do tryouts in October or November to get on the team, and so it was posted outside the cooking classroom to sign up.
How does one try out? What does that look like?
So back in what was it, like October, November? We did like a tryout, which was like a practice meal that we had to make.
Yeah.
We were all split up into like duos and trios, and then like we did good with our teammate and the actual meal. Then Miss Trojan decided who was on the team.
I'll volunteer to be a judge on that next year.
What committee is that? Yeah.
So I just want to share with folks that are watching at home and a couple of folks in the room, a couple of the school board members got to go to the kitchen before this meeting and watch them, and it was really impressive to see them working. In fact, I was trying to engage them and talk to them a little bit, and they were all business, and I realized I needed to stop talking and let you do your thing. However, I want to say this. You cooked for 15 people tonight. I cooked for 15 people at Thanksgiving, and I was a crazy person running around my kitchen and sweating and stressing out. You guys were poised, you were calm on the outside, and collected and collaborative and working together and talking and just really engaged with each other and the mission and the goal. And it was so impressive to see because that was not happening in my kitchen for Thanksgiving, and I'm a grown up who's cooked a lot. So that was really impressive to see all of you working together so closely and with such poise, and it's really impressive. And thank you for bringing this food to us tonight, and thank you for representing the middle school. And I think you have something on the table you want to show us. What do you got there?
Might as well show they were fighting on the way, but who's
This was the trophy from winning the cooking competition.
That's fantastic.
And what does it say? It says New Hampshire.
New Hampshire Middle School cooking competition.
Is that going to be mounted in the kitchen, do you know? That's awesome.
I think it has like a stand.
It's getting mounted.
It's getting mounted. Excellent.
Yeah. I would just encourage you guys to keep cooking. It's something you could definitely bring to the high school once you get up there, like a cooking club, like that would be super cool. There's definitely some awesome like culinary opportunities that you can do, whether it be at CT or in the high school at Timberlane. I know there's some cool classes with some awesome teachers, but if it's something you're really passionate about, I really like can have you like motivated to bring it to the high school and definitely stick with it because I'd like to see that. It's awesome.
One more thing I'd like to share too is we talked about Miss Jules on the way here, and they were all aglow about how much they care about her. But as the teacher who started this idea last year was, hey, I have this idea I'd like to do, and she has seen it all the way through to this culminating experience, which is amazing. But she's literally back there being selfless as she always is, cleaning up after the mess that was created. And she would never want this limelight, but definitely deserves a lot of praise for creating the program, seeing it through, and supporting these young students to do awesome things.
And she is an award-winning teacher.
Also an award-winning teacher. That is correct. In the state of New Hampshire and going for to be one of the best FACS teachers in the country.
And these sandwiches are delicious. Can you tell us how you came up with this recipe? Because it's your own invention, right?
I think I discovered this recipe. So I was thinking of like a chicken meal, cause like barbecue chicken, and then I was thinking like who doesn't like chicken and waffles? So I combine that into like a sandwich. So I looked up good chicken and waffle recipes, and we didn't exactly find one, but we found a good waffle recipe and a good chicken recipe. So.
And bacon was the magic.
No one's upset about bacon.
And lettuce and tomato to make it a little healthier.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a good combination. It's very, very good. It's delicious. Great job.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for
Yes,
coming
thank
and
you.
for experimenting.
Well done. Thank you guys. You're gonna bring white home. Sad.
I think there may be an extra one.
I think they have an extra.
Thank you guys.
We're all set.
Still
Yeah,
gonna keep
you
waiting, you know?
Yeah.
He's not off yet. He's still wrestling.
Minutes.
Good.
So let's look at last meeting's minutes here. There's nothing I saw.
Make a motion to approve the April 3rd, 2025 meeting minutes.
Oh, I just have one minor adjustment on page 8 where it says Mrs. Woodworth requested to be on the wellness committee again. I was never on it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yep.
Page 8 of the minutes, it says Mrs. Woodworth requested to be on the wellness committee again. I wasn't on it a first time, so just.
Your request was another
requesting.
request.
Oh, maybe,
A prior meeting, you'd requested to be on it.
maybe you requested it 2 times, I think
Yeah,
that's what that was.
that was you.
I can change it if you know, if you want me to.
Well, it's a double entendre. The word can mean both things.
Then I second.
Okay, those in favor of accepting, opposed, abstentions. And we have some non-public.
We have one set of.
Make a motion to approve the April 3rd, 2025 non-public meeting minutes.
Second.
Those in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Okay, do we have any delegates and individuals?
No, we don't.
In which case, we'll move those to the end of the meeting, the remaining minutes. Make a motion to to place the remaining 20 minutes to the end of the meeting. All those in favor?
20 or 30 minutes? It's 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Those in favor?
Who seconded?
I make a motion to move the remaining 30 minutes of delegates and individuals to the end of the meeting.
I second.
Seconded by Bree.
Those in favor? Opposed?
It's my new thing. I hate this rule.
Paul opposes to be obstinate only and
You
abstentions?
can't show up on time, you don't get your time.
Okay.
Okay. I
Someone
agree
needs
with
to eat
you, but
another
we're
chicken and
required
waffle.
to.
I understand.
Yeah.
I know that one, I know that one vote won't matter, but.
Okay.
Still sticking it to you, man.
Student representative, Abigail?
Perfect. All right, I like that little introduction. I thought it was a good combination of things.
Oh, yeah.
Set off on a fun foot. Anyways, a little recap of the high school. The production of Anastasia was held in the TRHS Performing Arts Center last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, with amazing performances by all of the cast members, as well as a shout out to English teacher and TRHS staff member, as well as advisor of the Milkman Improv team, Mr. Michael Castano, for directing this overall amazing and very successful production. Tennis had their ribbon cutting ceremony last Friday, taking a win against Hall's Brookline 5-4 on the brand new home courts. We had a nice little introduction and national anthem performance, which kind of added to the team aspect and celebratory atmosphere. The English Honor Society is selling Poems and Petals, where students are able to either choose a poem out of 5 options or write their own to send to friends. And members of the Honor Society will be delivering those next week with a little poem attached to a flower. And then I think, if you wouldn't mind putting up a thing on the screen for Mental Health Awareness Week to look up at the board. So we kind of have a lot of exciting things approaching for Mental Health Week. So kind of as a little overview, starting on Monday, we have our signature coffee house and open mic night, where members of the school and the community and staff are encouraged to go. They can have a musical performance, they can sing, they can do some poetry, maybe read a short story, things like that, kind of just showcasing creativity. There'll be coffee provided by Chris Tardif with his Happy Coffee. He also came to the craft fair, and it was really cool for him to hand out all of his apparel, all of the coffees, things for the community. And then on Tuesday, we have Ted Weiss and the community celebration. I actually got a chance to see him a couple of years ago at a student council conference. He's really an amazing speaker, kind of touching base on just how to be the best version of yourself, how to interact with community members and positive ways, kind of strengthening those relationships. So there'll be a morning session for high school and an afternoon session for the middle school, kind of a little rundown on that. And then obviously his workshop will be at 6:50 p.m. in PAC. On Wednesday, the National Honor Society has their Day of Kindness. They wear their kindness shirts, and we hand out like little sticky notes kind of at every entryway with some music. We'll also have the Mental Health and Wellness Fair, where community members are also welcome and encouraged from 3 to 4. Kind of just a fair for the organizations to kind of showcase, what they work on. I know like the School Climate and Culture Committee we've been very heavily involved with kind of planning this. On Thursday, we have kind of like a food truck event. Food trucks come in the evening, and then students in the community are able to come and get some food from that. And obviously the Milkman Improv Show, which we have monthly, that'll be at 7 p.m. in the PAC. And then finally on Friday, as kind of like a little grand finale, if you will, we have our 5K that we do at the school where staff are able to run and as well as students. We also have the little field day. So if you don't want to run the race, you can do the field day. There's a lot of cool games you can do. There's also an ice cream social. And then at night, the dance team has their showcase so they can do their performances that they've done all year, whether that be at Project Hope, at recitals, things like that. So that's just kind of like a general overview of what's going to be happening next week. So pretty exciting on that note. So thank you. And then kind of looking forward, taking a break from that. Thank you for putting that up on the board. And then when we get back from April break, we will have the first 2 weeks of May for AP exams, and then Teacher Appreciation Week. Looking forward will be then as well. Over at the middle school will be holding the ribbon cutting ceremony of the brand new outdoor track in the first official competition against Hampstead. So this first ever meet on the track will be hosted by Timberlane on April 24th. At Danville School, Danville's second grade students recently visited the Sea Science Center in Manchester for a field trip to explore the museum and to work on a variety of activities kind of revolving around like matter and force in motion. Also at Danville, fifth grade students completed the NHS SAS science testing last week. Grades 3 through 5 will be completing the English language arts, writing, and math testing later on in May. Danville School hosted a unified arts showcase this evening as well. This gave students an opportunity to see what they have been learning in art, health, PE, innovation classes, and like in the library. And then the Danville PTA is hosting Bingo for Books from 5 to 8 p.m. in the high school tomorrow night in the cafeteria as well. At Sandown North is excited to report that they are halfway through their school-wide reading of The Wild Robot Escapes. They've been able to express this as kind of a fun reading experience for the schools and being able to work with the community. The Sandown art teacher, Christina Courier, working with students in grades 4 and 5 to create the Sandown North Stars mural, which showcases their love for the school and values that they hold as a school community. These consist of characteristics such as being safe, trustworthy, respectful, responsible, kind, creative, and smart. And Sandown's Crazy 8's After School Math Club has been a great success and is well attended. And they are currently planning activities for spring flower reds, which I thought was pretty cool. At Sandown Central, congratulations to Abby Goodson, Cheryl Goodman, Mandy Desiu, and Lisa Trepany, who were all honored at the 7th Annual Plastow Community YMCA's Educational Celebration on April 16th. They are exceptional teachers who have been recognized by the community. So thank you also to the families who attended the preschool and pre-K informational session on April 16th. It was great for them to see some familiar faces as well as some new faces. And then special shout out and thank you to the Sandown PTA for running what will be another successful book fair upcoming, and they would not be able to happen without you. And then kind of finishing up at Pollard. Pollard 5th grade students spent time learning about the Plastow history and outlining with the Plastow Historical Society. They also just finished up the science testing and did a great job with that. The 4th grade band and 3rd grade strength students had a great showing at last night's concert. So kind of bravo and shout out to all those who participated. And then break a leg to the 2nd graders performing How Does Your Garden Grow tonight at the Performing Arts Center, which is very exciting. And so as you can see, there are many awesome things happening in the district, and a special shout out to the teachers and staff who are working very hard to benefit our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Krieger. I'd like to talk to us about the lease.
The resolution for lease phase 3, absolutely. So under current business, letter A, we are going to be looking for a motion here, and that's in your packet, but I do want to give some information for the board prior to that. So really in summary, this is to authorize financing for phase 3. The payment that is in your packet there, you can look at $2,589,655. The first payment for phase 3, again, will be due on July 14th of 2026. The payment schedule is there. You can see that the annual payment is about $218,000, and it will end, as we've said to the board before, in 2043, and it's secured an interest rate of 4.689%. And again, to remind the board, this is work that is primarily focused at Atkinson Academy and Sandown North.
Discussion? Any questions? I'll
I have a
just
question, sorry.
shoot.
Is for this project, is it part of the lease, is that the removal of the canopy or is that a separate?
This is not in, the canopy work is not in phase 3 of the lease. This is work primarily only at Atkinson and Sandown. Atkinson is the finishing up of things in controls and HVAC, and it's the beginning of controls over at Sandown North.
I think it's awesome we locked in that rate. That's about what the 10-year note is right now, so that we could do that through a commercial entity I'm pleased with that. No discussions?
I'd like to make a motion to move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize $2,508,655 as Phase 3 of lease purchase financing of energy savings, equipment, and associated building improvements at district facilities be approved in form presented to this meeting, and that an attested copy of said resolution be included with the minutes of this meeting.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, seeing none.
And Mark, just to take a brief pause, because it is an attested resolution, there is just in the signature
Please,
here.
please.
What color pen am I doing?
And it's two copies, so
All a pink one.
Am I just signing or do I have to sign and print?
I think just sign. Yeah.
Pass to the left. No stealing pens over there.
Unless it's a good one.
those are,
Yeah.
I like those. Don't see very easy.
While we're signing, I will just say that I actually went to Anastasia with my family.
Yay,
So we actually kind of made like a week-long event of it. We watched the
that's
Disney
awesome.
movie at home, so they could kind of have context for
Yeah.
it and listen to like the songs leading up, so they kind of knew it a little
That's
bit.
awesome.
And again, seeing like their faces, watching like true performance
When
on
you, like,
screen, and of course
recognize
they're like, "But where's the bad guy?"
Yes, yeah.
It's like it's above yours. It was really fun, and my oldest, who is 8, just raved about the performance, and again, the quality of sound that those high schoolers are making is just
Impressive.
phenomenal.
I was like getting goosebumps. It was
Yeah,
incredible.
so
Like the
that was a lot of
technology
fun.
too. I agree.
And I just actually came from the art show at Danville where they showcased all of the students' work, and just seeing their big smiles, pointing out everything of how accomplished they felt, showing off their hard work and labors, and then seeing their friends and supporting them. It was very cool.
It's awesome. I love doing that at the end of there.
And next, we would like to have an elementary enrollment update. Ms. Kanotis?
So in your packet tonight, I believe you'll see a color copy, but anyone who sees the packet online that's not color, the lightly shaded boxes, what I did this time is just shade any number that changed from last time. So those lightly shaded are just indicating that there's been a fluctuation. We are watching 2 grade levels. Those are darker shaded. Those grade levels are both at capacity at those schools. And then on the second page, as always, you'll see our early childhood enrollment. We are happy to report that our new preschool at Atkinson has a wait list. So that was a successful move for us. And we're looking at kindergarten at Atkinson that also has a wait list right now. So as we finalize registrations and we look at placement of positions, we will be wrapping that up at the end of the month. So when I come back next time, we'll have more specific details about class sizes and the number of classes that we're running.
I did have a question about Atkinson because baffled me that it's waitlisted. So, because I assume if you were paying for the full day kindergarten, then that is a service that you then
So-
get.
Absolutely. So really what that means is that currently we have 2 teachers with a max capacity of 40 total students, right? 20 and 20. So as people finalize their registration with Mr. Krieger, we'll make some decisions about, are we running a 3rd section? Or are those kids, students who can go to another program? Do some families decide not to go full day and go half day? So our April 30th deadline is when we have that finalized placement, and that's when we know who has paid and secured their spot and who is still in flux.
But we could because again, the families are paying for that position, so we could get that 3rd teacher if the need is there.
We have a position that we could put there, yes.
And we have the classroom capability for that as well.
We're working on getting creative.
You're running. You recognize yourself?
In the future, would it be possible to get this screenshot that we're looking at between the schools and the class size projected so anybody watching online could see it? I think that would be helpful. So right now, the 2 big squeezes are Danville, 3rd grade, 44 students, max class size by policy is 22. And so we have 22 in both classes. If we get an extra student, we will be violating policy. And in Pollard, 66, we have 3 classrooms of 22 students. We have waitlisted kindergarten students. Mr. Krieger, sorry to throw you on the spot here, but I'm thinking of the financial constraints we are under. We currently have waitlisted students for kindergarten, and if we get an additional student in either of those grades, we will be violating our policy. Can you paint a picture of some sort as to what that looks like?
We would do in those occasions, we would bring that kind of concern back to the board and then make some recommendations to you for some decisions. There is not, it's not a done deal that you add a teacher just when you're going over by 1 or 2. There's other tools that are available to the board to be able to do. We would do some deep thinking as a district in terms of the spacing of staff and where the allocations would be best. But as a district, we would make sure that we're going to be implementing the needs of whatever. For families that are wanting to be part of the school system, particularly for early childhood and kindergarten, we're gonna make that happen. Staffing wise, these numbers are going to continue to fluctuate for the students every day from now till we open school. So I don't want anyone here to be panicking that we're against class size and that it's a critical case for us, but we bring it to you, I think, once a month so we can make sure that we're monitoring things. And if we need to be making changes, we can do it within the time period the board is meeting, that we can implement it operationally in the time that we need to at the school side.
Did you have something, Katie?
So you said for the full day kindergarten, the class size is 20.
That is the policy.
There are 2 classes of 20, so there's 5 kids on the wait list right now. And then what about at preschool level at Atkinson? It says 13 that's including a wait list. Is that just 12?
So our class size for preschool is 12.
12.
And this is the first year that we've offered preschool outside of TLC. So anyone who doesn't meet within the 12 does have an opportunity to still go to TLC, which is where we've always run our 3-year-olds program, but we're trying to get into neighborhood schools. And so looks like it's been a success for this year.
Okay. And is there kindergarten capacity at the other schools within the district for?
They are
residents of that?
not, Danville, in your packet, Danville had 24 registrations when I ran it. They technically do have 2 full day teachers right now too. So 20 in a class is policy. Pollard is at 31. They have 3 full day teachers right now. So there's that fluctuation of if that enrollment doesn't increase, we have a teacher that we could move. And Sandown Central is at 56. They currently have 4 full day teachers.
So the 2 pressure points we have at Danville, grade 3, 44, and Pollard, grade 2, 66. One of those goes over and we're put to us on either we waive policy or we use and say, hey, we need another teacher. With all the cuts we just did, how many positions do we have to be able to even do that?
So right now at the elementary level, we may have a flexible position that we're going to see how enrollment that we can move to another place. But
So
at
one.
at the elementary level, that's what we're looking at, is a single position.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much,
Thanks,
appreciate that.
Stacy.
And next, with Mr. Pedersen, evolution of games curriculum revision for the first read.
Good evening.
Mark.
So I bring before you tonight just a revision of a curriculum. As you know, curriculum is a living and breathing document. You don't just write it, put it on the shelf and never see it again. Our teachers, once they start teaching the curriculum, they ask for tweaks here and there. And so this is a tweak of a curriculum. So evolution of games, it's been through rounds of working with our curriculum coordinator, Jen Popek, and the teachers, and then curriculum and assessment committee. So then it comes before you tonight. So the curriculum has those 2 units, games throughout history, and then electronic gaming. So looking for a first read to hopefully go, see if you have questions on it, and then I'll come back next board meeting and look for a second read adoption.
Who's taking this class?
There's actually a lot of students who are taking it. A range of students. Some students are going from, kids who are just sort of dabbling in, hey, I need an elective, and it sounds like a fun elective, and they're just getting that elective credit. Other kids are saying, I want to, be esports, or I want to go into computer programming, or I want to go into game design, and they're taking that as kind of their first leap into that to then potentially make a career out of this. So it kind of runs the gamut between kids just interested in it to kids that maybe are thinking about this for a career.
I was just gonna ask, is there any like code writing in it?
Is there any code? It starts to get into the coding towards that second unit, but really what this is designed to do is to get those kids interested in sort of like that game theory, game philosophy, to then consider taking game programming 1 and 2, and potentially even 3D modeling to bring in some of like the, how do you develop like the visuals for it, and then once they get into game programming 1 and 2, that's where they're getting more into the coding. The original intent way back was like kids were following that progression to start with this to kind of get that idea of how to sort of design a game all the way through to actually coding and building a game.
And then do they do like any Dungeons and Dragons type stuff?
I don't know if they are specifically doing Dungeons and Dragons as a game, but they are looking at a whole like from like the way back history of just like game as like as part of the culture, as different cultures, and then looking at different games throughout history to then ending with electronic games. They probably talk about Dungeons and Dragons.
So my question, because Danville has done a nice job reaching out to residents, and the rec department has done a Dungeons and Dragons monthly meeting, which I think is great. And also I think this is fantastic to showcase non-electronic games, because I think that is a challenge with some children nowadays.
Anything else? Anybody? Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the first read of the evolution of games curriculum revision.
Seconded.
Discussion, all those in favor?
No, hold on.
Further discussion?
Do you need a motion for each course individually?
It's all one course. It's just,
Got it.
it's 2 units, so.
2 units. I'm like, it
2
looked like
units.
2 courses here to me. Okay, perfect. Sorry.
Great question. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Seeing none? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
Is he up for the
Mark's
next
hanging
one
out.
too?
I'm just
You're
gonna
hanging out for the next item?
Hang out
Now
for
for
the
the
next
next
one.
couple
So please,
things.
talk to us about
hi, Mark,
grade 8 Washington.
welcome.
Good evening.
Fancy seeing you here.
What you have before you is an executive summary looking for approval for a proposed trip. It's an overnight trip, an out-of-state trip. It is being proposed for April vacation of 2026. But the middle school is looking to have this get approved by the board sooner than later, so then they can start advertising it and get the families who are interested to potentially, get onto like a payment plan rather than having to pay one lump sum all at the end. So the sooner they can get it sort of approved and working through the system, the sooner they can start advertising it and getting it through. So the scope of this would be, well, it's through EF Tours, who's a well-known tour company. Open it up as a pure enrichment opportunity, but have it sort of connected to the things that the kids are focused on in 8th grade curriculum. So it would be open to 8th graders. At the end, in April, they would have gotten through a lot of their 8th grade curriculum and the start of America and the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and all those pieces, and then to go to Washington D.C. and get a chance to see where it's all made and the end product of the American Revolution and all of that and the founding of America. The teacher who is spearheading this is actually the school counselor, Robin Mahoney, and she is currently the 7th grade school counselor, and she just moves up with the class. So she is going to be their 8th grade counselor next year. She's already has the school nurse as committed to going, and she has a handful of teachers who have verbally committed, but until it gets finalized, we won't talk about who they are just yet until it gets written in stone. So.
Is there a minimum or maximum number of students that can go?
I do not believe there's a minimum or a max. It's just every 10 students needs a Timberlane chaperone per EF. I'm sure that there's some cost value point for EF tours, but I don't believe there's a maximum. And I believe if the entire class went, it would be doable.
Great.
And so I know that with the budget cuts, the middle school field trips was one of the large portions of that. And so students are responsible for the entire sum.
Correct. It's not required the way that some field trips, are like if a class were to go somewhere as a field trip, the expectation is that whole class goes. This is purely an elective field trip. And so the student or the student's family is responsible for the full cost then.
Are there any I know I'm looking at fundraising, are there any things within, I know sometimes within the district you're allowed to there are do's and don'ts of how to fundraise, are there any opportunities to fundraise so they don't have to pay out of pocket?
So what I was told is that there could be a fundraising giving page. So rather than having kids stand out and have a tin can outside of the grocery store,
Builds character.
They can.
No one has change or dollar bills to put in it anymore.
Give my card reader.
They can set up a fundraising page and ask for donations that way. Just experience wise, there's been other trips. So, I think about the trips that go to Quebec and have gone to Spain. They've done bake sales to try to raise money and try to reduce the cost for all the students. So I would assume that some of those things might happen, but I believe the number one sort of fundraising is going to be that giving page that is set up through EF Tour. So it's not even that the kids have to handle the money. It's just all that money. The way it was explained to me is that money kind of goes right into that student's account and just comes off of their tab. So it's actually really easy in that regard, and it's all just done through EF.
Schools and districts that have really built this into their system are allowed, they begin fundraising as a 6th grader, and it's an end kind of point that you can get to, so you can build for it over a number of years for families and have that kind of common experience at the end of it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 8th grade Washington DC field trip for April vacation 2026.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Seeing none?
Thank you for the year in advance heads up as a future 8th grade parent next year.
Thank you for approving.
I'm gonna get my tin can out.
Yeah.
Easter is coming, so.
And Mr. Krieger is next with the general assurances.
General assurances. So this is a long attachment in your packet. I believe it begins on page 57. I'll summarize a few things for you. The end goal here is that both the school board chair the chief executive of the school district, myself, are obligated to sign what we're going to be presenting to you this evening. This is an annual thing across New Hampshire school districts and all public school districts across the nation. Really, what it's looking to do is for organizations that participate in federal programs. As the Timberlane Regional School District, we certainly participate in federal programs, most notably receiving federal funds that run through the New Hampshire Department of Education. Those are most notably IDEA, and that's typically annually about $900,000 for the district. It's Title I, that last year was about this fiscal year is about $180,000. It's Title II, which this year was about $100,000. So give or take, that can fluctuate from year to year, but those are really the general funds we're talking about. IDEA is really special education funding and grant funding that we do. We fund positions out of that and programs for students and contracted services. Title I really is at Danville and Pollard. That's Title I tutors and also offering parent nights. And that is all calculated by the state of New Hampshire for us. And Title II is really the funds that we have available for professional development. So it's our new teacher orientation and then the mentoring program that new teachers are afforded in the district, as well as some supplemental professional development for groups of staff that administration wants to target. But really what this is going to, it's broken into 3 sections. There are 39 general assurances in Section A. Section B is really around grants management. There's a lot of stipulations and regulations there that we're attesting to that we are following. These include the tool of the grant management system, the policies we have in line for place, some of the internal controls we have for purchasing, as well as all the other federal statutes that we are obligated to say that we're following. That's in Section B as well. And Section C is the shortest. It's just simply the definitions that you're all reading about. The long and short is going through this motion and allowing both the school board chair and myself to sign. It will allow us to receive the federal funding that we fully expect to in fiscal year 26.
Any questions, Bree?
No.
I saw you inhale at a very expected.
I was gonna say, do we need to make a motion?
You actually
Yes,
have to
yes.
make 2 motions.
Make a motion for the minutes to reflect the superintendent has informed the board of the federal funds the district will be receiving and of the general assurances, requirements, and definitions for participation in the federal programs.
Second.
Second by Katie. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions?
Make a motion to authorize the school board chair to sign the fiscal year 26 general assurances on behalf of the Timberlane Regional School Board.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much.
If you want a little taste of what the school board chair does do in the off hours, all these little tabs are signature pages that we will move through together.
Which name is she using today? Thank you very much. And next, budget to actual. Mrs. Watkins?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And this is going up on the screen. We have the ability. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and I believe elementary schools
It's
are doing
going.
their own mental health week spirit things as well with t-shirts and co-curricular dress ups and things like that. So there's supporting the Timberlane district in their mental health week.
Maria, thanks for preparing this again. Second board meeting of the month, and we are here to kind of walk through the 1-page summary for financials that we had committed to bring to you sometime a month.
Good evening. As Mr. Krieger said, this is the second month of our visual finance dashboard that we're gonna be presenting every month to the school board. 2 things to highlight. As of March 31st of 2025, we have received 80% of the expected revenue that we are expecting for fiscal year 2025, and we have spent 60% of our budget. One thing that I want to bring to your attention is that the actual expenses compared to the prior year is a 10% increase. So we have spent 10% more than we spent last year as of March 31st.
If you could highlight where the majority of that increase, is that healthcare, is that pencils, papers? What's the budget driver that's, if you can simplify it?
It's personnel. Most of it is personnel benefits,
Right.
salaries and benefits.
People, right?
And then we are still in track with our projection of about 79 million for the end of the year. This is the total expenses for fiscal year 2026.
And just to remind the board, that figure is the operational piece of the budget. There are other funds associated with the school district that we are still projecting will be 81, 82.
Including the other funds.
Any questions? Okay. Sobs, comments? No? Thank you very much, Maria.
I think she's up again.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back.
Please
Thank
stay.
you for being here.
This is the food service pricing increase request. We do this every year. We have been trying to keep the prices reasonable, but as you all know and experience at your own homes, the increase in food cost is through the sky. So we suggest to the board this year to increase our meal prices by 10 cents for students. So this is what the prices will look like following that suggestion.
And just for some background, I think we had discussed before that the average cost for a meal is about $3.97.
Mhm.
Correct. That's the actual true cost, right? So this does not completely eat away and combat the inflationary pressures that we have, but it bridges a gap just that little bit, still allowing our students to eat here at a reasonable cost. And I will note, having spoken to some students last year, there are some students in our district that the meals they get at Timberlane are the only reliable meals that they do get. I think it's important for us to make certain that this remains attainable for them, because if you're hungry, you're not learning, and the classmates sitting around you aren't learning. It's my own perspective. Questions, comments?
So I understand this, but I just want to make sure my understanding is correct. So as Mark said, the general meal cost is $3.97. These are the proposed prices that we're charging families. So this is not a revenue generating item in the budget.
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
No, we do not cover the entire cost of the program with what we get refunded by the state, by the federal, and parents paying for the meals. It does not cover the entire cost of the program.
Great.
And also it's federal law that we must feed children.
Yes, we have to. Any children that comes to the line asking for a meal, we have to provide a meal to that child.
That is worthy to note.
I make a motion to approve the proposed 25-26 meal prices for breakfast and lunch.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Seeing none? Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Maria.
And repurposing a position, Mr. Krieger.
Yep, I'd like to bring something to the board and to consideration, a recommendation to repurpose a position. Just to give the board overview, as part of the reductions that we presented last meeting and that was approved, we eliminated 4 elementary technology education teachers. In consideration of these reductions, we're looking to repurpose an open and vacant high school position to the position of district technology integration specialist in order to support the push-in model for digital literacy standards. In your executive summary, there's also an impact statement there. Currently, we have 1 person working in that position. The addition of a second will provide a dedicated focus to the elementary schools to assist with the push-in model that continues to integrate technology into student classroom experiences. And this is as opposed to having standalone technology classes where we're teaching technology in a vacuum. The digital literacy platform, in terms of how kids are interacting with those things, are really the responsibilities of all educators. I'm looking to have some guided focus and directions and support for classroom teachers at the elementary level in consideration of the reductions that we just moved through. The motion is there for you. The job description of the technology integration specialist is also there for you to review.
So to summarize, to make certain that we understand, rather than having those four discrete, we have one person that will, for the push-out model, allow, train, and create the ability to have technology kind of immersive in all the different classrooms.
Yes, yeah, it's continuing the level of support for the classroom teacher to have a resource and a partner to go to talk
In order
about
to
how
do
to
this.
deliver those things to students. You bet, together.
Yes, Bree.
Thanks. So I was just making sure that this is an elementary level push, because it says like district, but is it like an elementary specific position?
It will be an elementary specific position.
And is TLC included in that?
Yes.
It is, okay. And then my other question is, because I know a lot of concerned parents and students about robotics and Lego factor about that. I'm wondering if we can, because I didn't see any comment on that in the job description.
Yeah.
If there's any way to connect that, put it in the job description, or
So those, what you're referring to, I believe is what you're referring to, are things that are after school. So outside the contractual day, robotics club, Lego club, coding, those type of pieces. I want to be really clear with the board that those stipends, the funding for those roles still exist in the budget. Those were not reduced. So we still have the availability to fill those roles. Just as we would for coaches, we can advertise the same way for those roles as well. But I could not write in a job description for a teaching position that they work outside their contractual day.
But there's a stipend there that if they want to, they can.
So would the person in this position spend time at each of the elementary schools with teachers on a rotating basis?
That is the vision, is that they will be supporting teachers' implementation of the digital literacy standards, yes, and be that resource for them.
Anybody else?
Does, one more, sorry. Does the current integration specialist focus at the middle school and high school, or are they
Current individual is focused on the district right now. It's a large job.
Make a motion to approve the repurposing the French teaching position to a district technology integration specialist position.
Second.
Second by Bree. All those in favor? Opposed? No abstentions.
And I hope future candidate will look towards the Lego and robotics.
I do as well, and we'll be posting that position most immediately tomorrow.
to the agenda after I clicked on that?
And next, we have the committee membership for the 2025-2026. If we'd all review that and see if there are any questions or comments. People happy where they are?
Will the stars come back of who's the co-chair?
Yes.
Great.
Let the meeting minutes note that Bree again asked if the stars would, for the third time, that's right. Excellent.
While we're on this, you're gonna bring it up? What? I was just gonna say while we're on committees, the tax cap. Yep.
Yeah, so Alyssa, I got you on there, Marion, I know that you expressed interest in that, and then I'm gonna let Mr. Krieger talk about, cause we feel it's very important for community members to be involved in this. And so I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Krieger, let him explain exactly what that next steps look like.
Yeah, so we've got, we kind of set, talking with Mark and Katie, we set what we looked at for the parameters of the committee. We're gonna have 2 board members, which I think we've identified here tonight. We've reached out to the budget committee and looking for 2 members of the budget committee to participate. We are gonna be looking at 4 community members, 1 from each town, and I'm gonna be making outreach to those folks and see if they can participate in that way. I'm going to put 2 administrators on that committee to help with that work. I also think it's really important that I consult with the TTA and see if they want membership on that committee, and also the TSSU, that they have a membership and a voice in that committee. That's a total of 12 folks. It's a large group, but I think small enough that they can divide and to have some work, and they've got some multiple facets that what they're going to be able to contribute. We've talked about asking them with the feasibility and impact, and to be reporting back to the board in the fall. so early in the budget process, to have that information for the board to consider as we're moving forward, the budget process kind of in full swing. I'll keep you updated in terms of membership.
So if community members are interested, what are their steps?
We are going to be rolling out something for the community, so it is universal and one way to go that way.
Tryouts.
Tryouts, yeah. They have to bake us something.
But it is important that we gauge interest so that we can make selections and start to work.
Excellent. Okay.
So I will make a motion to approve the committee assignments for 25-26.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Mr. Krieger again?
Okay. So I'm going to start here and I need some participation.
All right.
So at the high school, they did a mystery reader competition last week. So we'll see if the board can achieve as well as the high school students did. The goal of the mystery reader was to guess the person who was reading over the morning announcements at the high school. That's removed from you. I'm sitting right in front of you. I'm talking to you. You know who the reader is. The second part of that was also guessing the book or the author. So here were the clues that I'll give you that I gave the students in the high school in terms of my book.
Some of these competitive chases
in
afloat.
my-
I'm ready.
in my author. Lead you that to say that the title of the book is 5 syllables.
Oh, come on.
Okay. And I'm going to save the gimme in case you need it to the end. Here are 2 passages from the novel. It was a bright cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Second passage, also moving toward the gimme area. Doublethink means the power of holding 2 contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously and accepting both of them.
I wasn't pointing at you, Bree.
He was just getting
No,
excited.
I was pointing at Paul because we both got it.
I don't. Say it.
I
don't have it.
I don't have it. Yeah, I guess, but I don't think it's
We
right.
can say the author.
George Orwell.
Yep.
I know he does.
1984.
George
And the year
Orwell,
was?
1984. Well
I read
done,
that a long time ago.
gentlemen.
AP English, Timberlane.
But I know too.
And wrestling?
Like, I didn't know that.
Wrestling and English?
Did better with
That's
English.
enough for my-
In track, you ran for Don.
Cross country,
Cross
yeah.
country.
Not particularly well there either. Yeah.
Thank you for entertaining me because I do have a lot of business to kind of roll through for you. So that was good.
I want another try next week.
You want another try to we'll give it a shot. But I thought that was really cool. that
Yes,
what-
yeah,
what
I
was
know I talked
happening.
to Swansea about
How did the students say, like, how did they guess?
I don't see, I wasn't there for morning announcements because I do CT, so I take
Did they
the
like
bus over,
Insta
but
or
It was
text?
off.
she talked
Yeah, what
about
they
it online.
Email?
yeah, what they would do is they would morning announcement, they'd have a stock thing, and then right after that, they send out a Google form to the kids, and they could just get right on and do their stuff, and they could tally it all, and it was
Teachers also could fact.
yeah, it was open to the staff.
I bet my husband got it. I'll live vicariously through him.
You got to ask him if he got it. I'm sure he did. Because the gimme was the title was a date.
Oh.
So
You didn't say that.
Yeah.
I said if you needed the gimme.
We didn't need it, we got it by the 2
Okay.
clues.
Well done.
Moving on to business. 3 things to share on the facilities line of things. So on May 8th, I know that the board and the facilities committee was looking at the, and I'm gonna butcher these things, but the bollards for the canopy over at the high school. Some conversation at facilities in terms of, is there a cost differential between crash proof kind of balusters and what EEI was thinking about previously? I don't have that information here right now, but I will be able to bring the cost differential to the board on May 8th.
If I may interject, I was at the facilities and we did get into a good deal of conversation. Essentially, we were pushing and we were interested in having lit bollards rather than having spotlights off the high school and just have a much classier look, less like a warehouse. And we acknowledged that there would be nothing wrong with warehouses. And we did acknowledge that there would be an up cost to that they had not assumed. That being said, I asked for what the most expensive bollards that they had included with the plan were, to use that as a delta for what we chose for the lit bollards. So in other words, if each bollard ranged from $1,000 to $3,000 that we were offered, and they were willing then to spend $3,000 in the bollards, to our credit. If the lighting turned out to be, you know, a $2,000 project, then we're free and clear. If it's $3,100, then we'd owe $100. We would be on the hook for $100 per bollard. So there was some nuanced discussion. Started off subtle, and it got very frank. But that's where we landed. As of yesterday, they had not gotten back to Dr. Martin with that uptick in pricing.
So I heard from them,
Yes.
and they're committing to me by May 8th. I'll be able to have an answer for you.
I thought, and just in the discussion we had that night, because I asked specifically that, I have to go back and look exactly. I'm thinking, well, the intrusion ones can't possibly be the same price as the other ones, and
they're not.
I know, but the way that he was framing it was that, oh yeah, this is all covered. You can have that, or you can have this, and I'm thinking, there's no way that's possible.
So what it comes down to is there's a great cost differential on the sheet for the different bollards that we were given, from less expensive to more. Obviously, those that are permanents are more expensive. And so I was leaning toward, well, let's price out what the most expensive one is, and then look at options for lit bollards, because they may be less than the most expensive non-movable one, if that makes sense.
Because I believe they said any of the ones on that sheet.
Correct.
would be
So I was asking
That's okay.
which was the most expensive one, and then from there, we look for less expensive lit options to offset the cost, because obviously a lit bollard will probably be more than a non-lit one. They did not offer us the non-lit one, so I was asking for pricing for that, just so that we would have the option to choose. Personally, I think if we get a lit one, it looks better. Look in front of the pack, it looks better than having, you know, lights, but again, that's up for the board to decide.
I like that you just ended with that. That's for the board to decide, because in CIP, we had a good discussion about how CIP has put forth their recommendations, but that's exactly what they are, recommendations, and that the school board can choose how to spend those funds. And so if maybe this sounds like a CIP project of improving the facilities, that is maybe the avenue where you find that difference for pricing.
If there is one. So that's what we don't know if there is a price differential. And, you know,
I think it also matters if you're dealing with the 9 that they are covering, or the entire safety of not crashing through a window.
absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So gathering more
Which they're
information,
not.
they did not have that on hand. And they weren't, you know, they didn't expect that question to come up. So we'll be getting back. Sorry.
That's okay.
To hijack.
Two more facility things. It's also my understanding at Facilities Committee, there was a discussion about vendors for repairs and maintenance. And that Dr. Martin will be bringing on May 8th a list of vendors that we typically spend between $10,000 and $20,000 a year on. And we'll be asking the board for flexibility to create requisitions for these vendors without securing 3 quotes. Paul or Mark, I don't know if you have more things to add to that conversation.
I do. We were given a list of 39 different vendors that we spend, you know, more than 10 grand a year with. Some of them made a lot of sense to take a look at it logically. If we're going to Home Depot and there's an open PO for $10,000 and 8 months or 6 months in the school year, you need to pick up, you know, plywood for a wood shop, or, you know, things to fix a bathroom. It does not make sense to hold that up for, you know, a $50 piece. Payroll will say, you know, no, or accounting will say, no, we can't do that. That exceeds the $10,000, then it needs a manual override. I don't think that was the intention of the board. We wanted greater oversight for individual discrete purchases. But if replacing a mirror in the bathroom pushes us over that $10,000 with Home Depot or, you know, or Webb, then I don't think that was the intention of the board. She was going to get back to us with examples for each of these. I was uncomfortable at that stage just saying, yes, approve them all. Some of them obviously make sense. Others, I don't know what the companies do, but, you know, the objective is to keep the oversight, but not burden them with the administrative paperwork of buying an extra 5 gallons of, you know, floor wax that pushes us over that 10,000 and having that be put on hold.
Yeah, I think in the end, it's trying to make it just build efficiency.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think so. So the list will be, what are the list of the, and that's the vendors that.
Pass it down.
I'm like, am I passing it?
Various POs and could total more than.
That have.
What would be required.
Yeah, looking at the
for our
historical
fee.
actuals and saying like, here's a list of vendors that we spend $10,000, $20,000 on annually for a while. And they've got open purchase orders. And if we're pushing up to the maximum level of that, Do we want to have a more cumbersome process to work through, or is the board, what we're looking to do is like, look at the oversight that is here now and the level of transparency, and are we able to build on that to allow us to be a little bit more efficient on the operational side?
I think I agree with you on that, by the way.
Great.
And then I also with this deep dive, it was that are hitting that threshold, but that we are always selecting because they are the proper lowest bid that has been historically.
So that's where it varied a little bit. Most of them, yes. But for small items, for example, a light bulb breaks, or you need an extra, 50 pounds of fertilizer because you ran out. We have preferred vendors that we're priced out with historically. If that pushes us over because we've historically used them for our fertilizer, our lime, pelletized, whatever, do we then need to go and put the whole process on hold, or can we extend something? Right, that's exactly. So these aren't purchases of $10,000 or $11,000 worth of, pelletized lime. This is, these are businesses that we routinely deal with. There were one or two exceptions on there that I had questions that I asked for follow-up on, but in general, if an extra ream of paper, construction paper for, Sandown North needs to be purchased and it pushes us over the 10,000, I don't want to gum up the works. My understanding is right now, as soon as that PO extends past the 10,000, stop. It needs oversight. And for individual purchases like that, I don't think that was the intention of this board, of the board when it passed that oversight. It was for larger purchases. And with Justin looking over everything, I am comfortable, but again, this is, a board decision.
So just planning to see that we'll bring a list back on the 8th. Last thing with facilities, this is in terms of consideration of the budget reductions. We had talked through and the board approved removing $1 million from the capital money, leaving CIP at about an $900,000 marker. We've got, to Bree's point, those 3 approved projects through CIP, the Danville roof, the perimeter fencing in the main campus, and the beginning work at the high school bathrooms. I wanted to plant that seed for you tonight that will come back on May 8th. We're going to look for some direction around those 3 projects about prioritizing, maybe talking about funding from other areas, and really for the bathrooms, as it is my priority here, we need to be making some decisions whether we're going to go and put an RFP out for architectural and engineering plans, or whether we're going to do something more design build where we're serving as the general contractor. Those are 2 very different proposals to write out there, and I want some direction from the board about what direction we're going to pursue. That's specific to the bathrooms, just because of the complexity of all of that work inside of the schools. So May 8th, we'll come back with that. Couple more things to go. I know Abby presented the mental health week. I know that you also made, Bree, an allusion to that's also in our elementary schools this year. So it is something I wanted to highlight. This is the second kind of year we're doing it. There's tons of activities on the main campus, but all of our elementary schools this year also have common experiences at the town level to kind of promote the same concepts that we're doing here on the main campus. So I really wanted to highlight that, and I think it's awesome that it's a K-12 initiative this year. Also want to inform the board that I've taken an interview with the Eagle Tribune. You can read that in publication. It's also in the Nashua Ink Link, and it's specific to the budget reductions that the board approved last school board meeting. I also have an invitation from NHPR to be interviewing with them. That is along the work that Bill Preble is doing with the school climate and culture committees at the middle and high school level that Abby's a part of, but also wants some information and wants to run a story on the district budget as well. I have not been able to meet my commitment to the Atkinson resident to be hosting an interview there. I had a sick child one day, but I'm going to continue to follow back up with him and hope to have that out in the public as well soon. In terms of the State Board of Education, if you remember, we had the Articles of Agreement that were revised through our voting session. Just want to let the board know that the State Board needed to approve those, and they did approve those on April 10th. It was a riveting experience. 2 more previews for May 8th. What I like to do and bring to the board is 2 things specific to special education on the 8th. So like I did tonight with the technology reductions and having a plan in place to help supplement the refinement of delivery, we have voted to remove the special education director position. So that is going to require some substantive reorganization of the special education model. I want to bring that to the board on May 8th to talk through. And I also want to bring a statement of philosophy that is going to guide the special education department during this transition. So I'll have more information and specifics for you on the 8th.
Sorry,
yes,
just
absolutely.
so that'll cover the structure of what it's gonna look like going forward.
Absolutely.
And then the second part. So
And that'll include an updated organizational chart.
I'm going to do the organizational chart later. I want to talk through it with you guys first because there's other aspects that are also potentially moving other than just special education. And I want to make sure that we're doing that all at once and we're not doing it piecemeal. But that would be the intent, Bree. Also on May 8th, what I hope to bring back to you is that I have asked our legal counsel again to take a harder look at Article 7. That was the retention of the fund balance. Really asking them to read the meeting minutes, read the article itself, look at the past history, look at some more case law, so I can bring some definitive information for the board really about answering these questions. What are you able to retain this year, in this fiscal year? What are you able to retain, if anything, next fiscal year? And what is that moving in perpetuity? Did it move us to 0%? Did it revert to the previous article of 2.5%? I know have communicated out some conversations we've had with the legal counsel. Those have all been phone conversations at this point. I'm pressing them to look really hard and put some things in writing to me so I can bring some declarative stuff for you on May 8th regarding those questions. It's not lost on me that this next one is a piece of irony. We talked about general assurances tonight about receiving federal funds. We are informed as a school district that the New Hampshire Department of Education has not received its preliminary allocations yet for federal funds. And this is because the US Department of Education is running behind in discerning what they are going to be. So the current best case scenario is that we will be getting them potentially the middle of May. And these are, again, preliminary allocations for us. And the other piece that we could be looking at is not only will we have a preliminary number late, but the state of New Hampshire is not guaranteeing us that those allocations will be distributed and ready as they usually are on July 1st of the new fiscal year. We could be looking to later in July and potentially into August for those pieces. So I will keep you updated on that continues to change. I want to be clear that I still have no information that any of these funds will be discontinued. And I'm speaking again about IDEA Title 1, 2, and 4. I fully expect to receive all of those funds this year. This is a delay in actually just knowing what they're going to be. I'll close with this because it's really awesome. I was at TLC last Friday. TLC this year has begun a new play group. These are for preschool students, pre-K students, and kindergarten students. It's all opt-in and voluntary. At the smallest level, we've got students that are coming in with their families for some guided play with our staff. What the classroom I was in was a kindergarten play group, and this is what I saw. This is what happens when you build a program that allows expert teachers to have the space to conduct what they're doing. You had a group of kids that were building a large play area with large pieces up to the ceiling. You had another student that was standing on the outskirts of that play. And because it's an unstructured play, the teachers got the time to see that dynamic. And what does she do? She walks directly to that student that wants to enter, gives direct instruction about how to enter play, how to look at people's eyes, what you need to say, and what you can expect to hear. She pauses that student. She walks into the play. She gives direct instruction to the students playing how you receive somebody into play. You make eye contact. Here's the question you may hear, and how do you respond to that? She walked away. The student said to the group of students playing, "That looks like fun. I want to build that piece of it. Can I help?" And one of the young ladies in the play group, "Absolutely. We're trying to build it higher. We could use you." And the kid entered the play group. It's like that microcosm. I told the teacher doing that, like, she should go to the high school. And the high school administrators and teachers should be thanking her about, like, that's how you interact in a learning community. And all of that stuff is going to have benefits and outcomes for students in the learning achievement areas. So it's new here in Timberlane, it's unstructured play, it's guided, it involves families, and it gives teachers the ability to provide that immediate feedback. It was small, but it's remarkable and it sets the foundation. So I wanted the board to have that information about that stuff happening at TLC. That concludes it.
Excellent. Any questions? Personnel report.
Make a motion to accept the professional resignations of Sean O'Laughlin, English teacher at Timberlane High School, Cynthia Pelletier, special education teacher at Danville Elementary, and Angela Loseau, elementary teacher at Danville Elementary.
Second that. All those in favor in accepting those resignations? Opposed? Abstentions? None.
And thank you for your time here.
Yes, thank you for your time here. Make a motion to accept the professional retirement. No, retirement of Dr. Terry Demain, out of district coordinator district, and I felt like she retired before. Is this the second coming retirement?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Demain. I thought I recognized that name. I make a motion to accept the professional retirement of Dr. Terry Demain, out of district coordinator. Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. And vacancy report. Anything dramatically new?
Nothing dramatically new.
Okay. Committee reports of the board. Ms. Springer, anything?
Nothing yet.
Mr. McLean?
I was traveling, so thanks for covering facility there.
Not a problem at all. Bree?
I'm at wellness committee for the first time. Woo! And they.
It weren't wellness? Again?
And so we discussed some policies in conjunction with the policy committee, which was great. And we went over the wellness week coming up in end of April. And then we discussed an initiative for some challenges in May that might be coming forward. Oh, and then CIP also had that one. And we discussed, as Mr. Kruger said, that we needed direction from the school board on which projects would be selected for the coming year out of the recommendations, so that we could then prioritize projects for the next fiscal year. And that was, and then I believe the envelope of the school was discussed as well.
I have a question for Bree. For CIP, did you all talk about the bylaws, any?
So we did not have the packet in enough time to go over them. So the plan is, it was then currently disseminated. Any amendments need to go in at least a week before to disseminate further. And so we will be going over the bylaws, yes.
Because one of the things that got brought to my attention, I believe the bylaws stated that there should be 4 board members and not just 2.
Correct.
So if that's the case and that's what they want, then we just need to know. So we can
I
go to more.
believe it was my impression at the end of that meeting that it was the will of that committee that they did not require 4 board members to be there. But if anyone wanted to join, they were more than welcome to.
Just let me know.
That were not already represented.
Melissa?
No updates.
Sean?
I don't have a committee report, but I just, as reports of the school board, because I didn't really want to bring this up in other business, as a Town of Plastow representative, I just want to share our deepest condolences regarding Norm Major, who passed away this week. He was such a strong contributor to the community, the Town of Plastow. He was a selectman, he was on the budget committee, and he served in the House of Representatives for many years. So our condolences to Brenda and the children.
Absolutely. For myself, just to add one thing on facilities, Mr. Mr. Krieger covered it fairly exclusively. One other thing that was discussed, Jack had done some research on the side thinking about the masonry walls. Believe it or not, that's an interest of his. Really. And he came up with a possible killing two birds, one stone, where he did some research, spoke with some engineers, and is looking at the potential of investigating a 50 by 60 storage shed on the outside of the athletic wing by door B13. That would essentially then become an internal wall to the storage shed. So Dr. Martin is looking to see if we do need more storage space. It would negate the need to fix that wall, which EEI very loosely said, yeah, that could save about 60% of the cost, the masonry cost, because we'd still have to address the other walls. So again, this is, something coming up, pretty fast. A lot more information needs to be gathered. Our facilities director is going to be speaking to the town of Plastow, the fire department, and the building inspector to make certain that that is indeed feasible, that structurally we can do it, because there seems to be a contradiction as to whether you can make that an outside wall or not, or whether it needs to be spaced out. And there is a door right there which would be covered to see if there are any fire or safety implications in closing that door essentially with a shed. But that was an inventive way of trying to potentially solve two problems, but more information needs to be gathered, and we should have that by the next facilities meeting.
Yes, there's a lot of
Storage would be for all the athletic stuff and for our facilities. So
Doesn't athletic, aren't there like a million sheds,
there are scattered, and some of them are rented
but on property? Like, aren't there
on
like
property.
a
Oh, yeah.
million sheds?
Yes.
Did this board not talk like a little while ago about the athletic director like going through those sheds and making sure and accounting, because maybe seeing if there was space was not being used adequately enough, and seeing if there were some new ways of doing things?
Yes, that is ongoing work. There's a lot of stuff in a lot of spaces.
Okay.
Hoarding.
Yeah, that's in italics. Okay, we'll get more information. Good.
Yeah, there's a ton of building code that is way different if it's an attached building versus a lone standing building. And a lone standing building can be this far from the existing building, but it can't be attached, and it just changes the codes a ton.
Yep.
So be interesting to see what comes out of
Yeah,
it.
so again, that could just put a kibosh to the whole thing. But if it doesn't, there could be an inventive solution to solving a problem if the storage is indeed a problem, which we don't know if it is at this stage. But again, if it is, that's just another avenue to look into. That's all I have. Katie?
I ain't got nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Moving along then. Do we have any delegates and individuals?
No, I do not.
Okay. Other business?
Can I just mention one more thing? And just to kind of tag on to what Shauna was just talking about, some of them in Plastow that we just lost. The Timberlane community has also just recently lost one of their bus drivers from First Student. Ron Copeland, I believe that's how you say it. He has been the bus driver of bus 123 for the last 9 years, I believe, since 2016 is what I read. He picked up that job after retiring from several other things that listed in his obituary that he had done, including military service. And I'm just going to read briefly what Mrs. Sully actually had sent out to all of the Pollard parents last week. This says, with a heavy heart that I share the passing of Ron Copeland, bus driver for Pollard Bus 123. He has been a longtime fixture in the district and we will be missed by all. For anyone interested, there will be a celebration of life on Saturday, April 26th, which I believe is, they're doing it at the American Legion in Haverhill. I believe that's what that is. Details can be found in the obituary. After April break, to honor Ron, his bus number 123 will be retired and replaced with the bus number 105. So I do just want to point that out. There are several students in the district that were very fond of him. And I was told he always had a smile on his face. He knew all the students by name that were on his bus. And all the students really did love him. So
Thank you for doing that, Lisa.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone?
I just want to bring up quickly, one of the Plastow selectmen reached out to Alyssa, myself, and Katie just as a potential learning opportunity. I'll just share with everybody. So they're working with Black Earth composting.
And apparently there's a really cool, it's this company and they have a really cool connection to build education programs in the district and things. So maybe something we wanna look at and talk about, but I told him I would bring that forward. Yeah, so that we can build the community and the school, together. They're working on composting and projects and things.
Because it's almost Earth Day.
Yeah, so just thought I'd bring that up.
Any other business? Do we have any non-public tonight? Not that I'm aware of. Okay. In that case,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. Thank you.
Said that so fast.
Let's see, Friday?
I know.
I don't think so. No tennis practice, very, very light day, which is good. Thank you so much. I know, very excited.